Hello, everybody. I am so grateful you could join us for this really interesting play called No Exit. If I had to think of one play that kind of sums up what it's like to be quarantined, it's Jean-Paul Sartre's No Exit. This is a play that he wrote about being in hell. The most famous line is, "Hell is other people." And so, for those who have been quarantined, in some cases, I hope it's not you, but for some people, it is other people that is hell. It's a very funny play, and I just to kind of help you along with it. Some of you may not know it as well as others. Some of the humor comes from, for example, only a Frenchman would think of hell consisting of a place with bad furniture, or a place where your clothes clash with the sofa. That's part of what I remember at one point. Supposedly, Oscar Wilde said on his deathbed that either the wallpaper goes or I do, and then he died. And that's the kind of humor that we find in No Exit. I want to share with you just quickly. I had an extraordinary experience in my life. I'm so thankful for. When I was a grad student 100 years ago, I learned that there was a French professor who was a renowned French professor who was teaching a class uh, about the great French dramatists of the 20th century. And though I was in the drama school, not the French department, I contacted him and asked him if I could just audit the class, so no credit, just sit there and listen. And he was very generous and said yes. His name was Jacques Guichonneau, and he had just come back to Yale. He was at Harvard for several years, and he was coming back to Yale, and I sat in on his class. And he talked about the three great French dramatists during World War II. The first was Jean Anouilh, and Jean Anouilh wrote a play called Antigone, based on the Greek Sophocles play Antigone, in which Antigone wants to give her brother a burial with honors, and King Creon says forbids it, and she says no. So it was about really kind of a metaphor for the French talking to the German occupiers, saying no. And when the Nazis came and said, what are you writing about? They said, no, we're just talking about a Greek myth, and they got away with it. However, when things got too hot, Jean Anouilh left France and spent the rest of the war in Switzerland. He just said no. The other important writer was Jean Giraudoux, who wrote a play called The Madwoman of Chaillot. Of course, the only person not mad in that play is the Madwoman of Chaillot. And to oversimplify, his kind of message to the world was the world is beautiful, enjoy it, go with the flow. And for a short time, Jean Giraudoux was the minister of propaganda for the Nazis. Not that he embraced Nazism, he just go with the flow. It's beautiful. And as soon as they lost, he renounced everything, and that was Jean Giraudoux. But the most important person that I really wanted to talk about, and that's what we're doing right now, is Jean-Paul Sartre, who wrote this play, No Exit, and is the creator of existentialism, both the philosophical movement and the literary movement. And here we have three people, and the question is, what can they do? What does the individual do? Well, in Jean-Paul Sartre's case, he joined the underground and blew up stuff during World War II. So each of these French dramatists did exactly what their plays were about. So without further ado, let me introduce to you Jean-Paul Sartre's No Exit. The characters in the play are the Valet, played by Mitchell Malnati, Garcin, played by Parker Smith, Estelle, played by Veronique Hurley, and Inez, played by Marlena Lustik. It was first presented at the Théâtre de Vieux-Colombier in Paris in May 1944, and it's a drawing room in Second Empire style. Second Empire style, just to give you a sense of what it is, the City Hall in Philadelphia is Second Empire style. So that's the style of the furniture. There's a massive bronze ornament that stands on a mantelpiece, and Garcin enters, accompanied by the valet.
So here we are.
Yes, Mr. Garcin.
And this is what it looks like.
Yes.
Second Empire furniture, I observe. Well, I dare say one gets used to it in time.
Some do, some don't.
Are all the other rooms like this one?
How could they be? We cater for all sorts. Chinamen and Indians, for instance. What use would they have for a Second Empire chair?
What use do you suppose I have for one? Do you know who I am? Oh, well, it's no great matter, and to tell the truth, I had quite a habit of living among furniture I didn't quite relish, and in false positions. I'd even come to like it. A false position in a Louis Philippe dining room. You know the style. Well, it had its points, bogus and bogus, so to speak.
And you'll find that living in a Second Empire drawing room has its points.
Really? Yes, I dare say. Still, I certainly didn't expect this. You know what they tell us down there?
What about?
About this residence.
Really, sir, how could you believe such cock and bull stories told by people who'd never set foot here? For, of course, if they had.
Quite so. But I dare say, where are the instruments of torture?
The what?
Oh, the racks, the red-hot pincers, and all the other paraphernalia.
Oh, you must have your little jokes, sir.
Joke? Oh, I see. No, I wasn't joking.
He strolls around the room.
No mirrors, I notice, and no windows, only to be expected, and, well, nothing breakable. But damn it all, they may have left me my toothbrush.
That's good. So you haven't got over your what do you call it? Sense of human dignity? Excuse my smiling.
I ask you to be more polite. I realize the position I'm in, but I won't tolerate any of the...
Sorry, sir, no offense meant, but all our guests ask me the same questions. Silly questions, if you'll pardon me saying so. Where's the torture chamber? That's the first thing they ask. All of them. They don't bother their heads about the bathroom requisites, that I can assure you. But after a bit, when they've got their nerve back, they start in about their toothbrushes and whatnot. Good heavens. Mr. Garcin, can't you use your brains? What, I ask you, would be the point of brushing your teeth?
Yes, of course you're right. And why should one want to see oneself in a looking glass? But that bronze contraption on the mantelpiece, well, that's another story. I suppose there'll be times when I stare my eyes out at it. Yes, stare my eyes out. See what I mean? All right, let's put all our cards on the table. I assure you, I'm quite conscious of my position. Shall I tell you what it feels like? A man's drowning, choking, sinking by inches till only his eyes are above water, and what does he see? A bronze atrocity by that, what's the fellow's name? Barbadian? A collector's piece? Is it a nightmare? Well, that's the idea, isn't it? No, I suppose you're under orders not to answer questions, and I won't insist. But don't forget, my man, I've a good notion of what's coming to me, so don't you boast you caught me off my guard. I'm facing the situation. Facing it.
He starts pacing.
So, that's it. No toothbrush, no bed either. No one sleeps, I take it.
That's so.
Just as I suspected. And why should one sleep? A sort of drowsiness steals you, tickles you behind the ears. You feel your eyes closing, but why sleep? You lie down on a sofa, and in a flash, sleep flies away, miles and miles away. So you rub your eyes, you get up, and it starts all over again.
Romantic. That's what you are.
Will you keep quiet, please? I won't make a scene. I shan't be sorry for myself. I'll face the situation as I said just now. Face it fairly and squarely. I won't have you springing up from behind before I have time to size it up. And you call that romantic? So, it comes to this. One doesn't need rest. Why bother about sleep when one isn't sleepy? That stands to reason, doesn't it? Wait a minute. There's a snag somewhere. Something disagreeable, but why should it be disagreeable? Oh, I see. It's life without a break.
What do you mean by that?
What do I mean? I thought as much. Why, there's something so beastly, so damn bad-mannered in the way you stare at me. They're paralyzed.
What are you talking about?
Your eyelids! We move ours up and down, blinking, we call it. It's like a small black shutter that clicks down and makes a break. Everything goes black, and one's eyes are moistened. You can't imagine how restful and refreshing it is. 4,000 little rests per hour, 4,000 little respites. Just think. So, that's the idea. I'm to live without eyelids. Don't act a fool. You know what I mean. No eyelids, no sleep. It follows, doesn't it? I shall never sleep again. But then, how should I endure my own company? Try to understand. You see, I'm fond of teasing. It's second nature to me. And I'm used to teasing myself, plaguing myself, if you prefer. I don't tease nicely, but I can't go on doing that without a break. Well, down there I had my nights. I slept. I always had good nights, by the way of compensation, I suppose. Happy little dreams. There was a field, a green field, just an ordinary field, and I used to stroll in it. Is it daytime now?
Can't you see? The lights are on.
Oh, yes. I've got it. It's your daytime. And outside?
Outside?
Damn it, you know what I mean. Beyond the wall.
Ah, there's a passage.
And at the end of the passage?
There's more rooms, more passages, and stairs.
And what lies beyond them?
That's all.
But surely you must have a day off sometimes. Where do you go?
Ah, to my uncle's place. He's the head valet here. He has a room on the 3rd floor.
I should have guessed as much. Where's the light switch?
There isn't any.
What? Can't one turn on the light, off the light?
Well, the management can cut off the current if they want to, but I can't remember their having done so on this floor. We have all the electricity we want.
So one has to live with one's eyes open all the time?
To live, did you say?
Oh, don't quibble over words. With one's eyes open forever. Always broad daylight in my eyes and in my head. I suppose I took that contraption on the mantelpiece and dropped it on the lamp. Wouldn't it go out?
You can't move it. It's too heavy.
He seizes the bronze ornament and tries to lift it.
No, you're right. It's too heavy.
Very well, sir. If you don't need me anymore, I'll be off.
What? You're going? There's a bell, isn't it? If I ring it, you're bound to come.
Well, yes, that's so, in a way. But you can never be sure about that bell. There's something wrong with the wiring, and it doesn't always work.
Garcin goes to the bell push and presses the button. A bell purrs outside.
It's working all right.
So it is.
He too presses the button.
But I wouldn't count on it too much if I were you. It's capricious. Well, I really must go now.
Garcin makes a gesture to detain him.
Yes, sir?
No, never mind.
He goes to the mantelpiece and picks up a paper knife.
What's this?
Can't you see? That's an ordinary paper knife.
Are there books here?
No.
Well, then what use is this?
The valet shrugs his shoulders.
Very well. You can go.
The valet goes out. Garcin's by himself. He goes to the bronze ornament and strokes it reflectively. He sits down, then gets up, goes to the bell push, and presses the button. The bell remains silent. He tries 2 or 3 times without success. Then he tries to open the door, also without success. He calls the valet several times, but gets no result. He beats the door with his fist, still calling. Suddenly he grows calm and sits down again. At the same moment, the door opens, and Inez enters, followed by the valet.
Did you call, sir?
Yes. No.
This is your room, madame. If there's any information you require, well, most of our guests have quite a lot to ask me, but I won't insist. Anyhow, as regards the toothbrush and the electric bell and that thing on the mantel shelf, this gentleman can tell you anything you want to know as well as I could. We've had a little chat, him and me.
The valet goes out. Garcin refrains from looking at Inez, who is inspecting the room. Abruptly, she turns to Garcin.
Where's Florence? Didn't you hear? I asked you about Florence. Where is she?
I haven't an idea.
Ah, that's the way it works. Is it torture by separation? Well, as far as I'm concerned, you won't get anywhere. Florence was a tiresome little fool, and I shan't miss her in the least.
Beg your pardon? Who do you suppose I am?
You? Why, the torturer, of course.
Oh, well, that's a good one. Too comic for words. I, the torturer. So you came in here, you had a look at me, and thought I was one of the staff? Of course, it's that silly little fellow's fault. He should have introduced us. Torture, indeed. I'm Joseph Garcin, journalist and man of letters by profession. And as we're both in the same boat, so to speak, may I ask you, Mrs.
Not Mrs. I'm not married.
Right. Well, that's a start, anyway. Well, now that we've broken the ice, do you really think I look like a torturer? And by the way, how does one recognize tortures when one sees one? Evidently, you have ideas on the subject.
They look frightened.
Frightened? Oh, how ridiculous. Of whom should they be frightened? Of their victims?
Laugh away, but I know what I'm talking about. I've often watched my face in the glass.
Glass? Oh, how beastly of them. They removed everything in the least resembling a glass. And I can assure you I'm not frightened. But not that I take my position lightly. I realize its gravity all too well, but I'm not afraid.
That's your affair. Must you be here all the time, or do you take a stroll outside now and then?
The door's locked.
Oh, that's too bad.
I can quite understand that bores you in having me here, and I too, well, quite frankly, I'd rather be alone. I want to think things out, just to set my life in order, and one does that better by oneself. But I'm sure we'll manage to pull along together somehow. I'm no talker. I don't move much. In fact, I'm a peaceful sort of fellow. Only if I may venture on a suggestion, we might make a point of being extremely courteous to one another, each other. That will ease the situation for both of us.
I'm not polite.
Then I must be polite for two.
A longer silence, Garcin sitting on a sofa while Inez paces up and down the room.
Your mouth.
Beg your pardon.
Can't you keep your mouth still? You keep twisting it about all the time. It's grotesque.
Sorry, I wasn't aware of it.
That's just what I reproach you with. Oh, there you are. You talk about politeness and you don't even try to control your face. Remember, you're not alone. You've no right to inflict the sight of your fear on me.
He gets up and goes towards her.
How about you? Aren't you afraid?
What would be the use? There was some point in being afraid before, while one still had hope.
Well, there's no more hope. But it's still before. We haven't begun to suffer.
That's so. Well, what's going to happen?
Don't know. I'm waiting.
Silence again. Garcin sits down and Inez resumes her pacing up and down the room. Garcin's mouth twitches. After a glance at Inez, he buries his face in his hands. Enter Estelle with the valet. Estelle looks at Garcin, whose face is still hidden by his hands.
No, don't look up. I know what you're hiding with your hands. I know you've no face left.
Garcin removes his hands.
Oh, what? Well, I don't know you.
I'm not the torturer, madam.
Well, I never thought you were. I thought someone was playing a rather nasty trick on me. Is anyone else coming?
No, madame, no one else is coming.
Oh, then we're to stay by ourselves, the three of us, this gentleman, this lady, and myself.
There's nothing to laugh about.
They're so hideous. And just look how they've been arranged. Ugh, it makes me think of New Year's Day when I used to visit that boring old aunt of mine, Aunt Mary. Ugh, her house was full of horrors like that. Ugh, I suppose each of us has a sofa of its own. Is that one mine? But you can't expect me to sit on that one. It would be too horrible for words. Well, I'm in pale blue, and it's vivid green.
Would you prefer mine?
That claret-colored one, you mean? That's very sweet of you, but really, no. I don't think it matters so much. What's the good of worrying anyhow? We've got to take what comes to us, and I'll stick to the green one. The only one which might do in a pinch is that gentleman's.
Did you hear, Mr. Garcin?
The sofa, you mean? Oh, so sorry. Yes, please take it.
Thanks.
She takes off her coat and drops it on the sofa.
Well, as we're to live together, I suppose we'd better introduce ourselves. My name's Rigaud, Estelle Rigaud.
Garcin bows, about to announce his name, but Inez steps in front of him.
And I'm Inez Serrano. Very pleased to meet you.
Joseph Garcin.
Do you require me?
Go, I'll ring when I want you.
Exit valet.
You're very pretty. I wish we had some flowers to welcome you with.
Flowers, yes, I loved flowers. Only they'd fade so quickly here, wouldn't they? It's so stuffy. Oh, well. The great thing is to keep as cheerful as we can, don't you agree? Of course, you two are...
Yes, last week. What about you?
I'm quite recent, yesterday. As a matter of fact, the ceremony is not quite over. The wind's blowing my sister's veil all over the place. Ugh, she's trying her best to cry. Come, dear, make another effort. That's better. Two little tears are twinkling under the black veil. Oh dear, what a sight Olga looks this morning. She's holding my sister's arm, helping her along. She's not crying, and I don't blame her. Tears always mess one's face up, don't they? Olga was my bosom friend, you know.
Did you suffer much?
No, I was only half conscious, mostly.
What was it?
Pneumonia. It's over now. They're leaving the cemetery. Goodbye. Goodbye. Quite a crowd they are. My husband stayed at home, prostrated with grief. Poor man. How about you?
The gas stove.
And you, Mr. Garcin?
Well, bullets through my chest. sorry. I fear I'm not good company among the dead.
Please, please, don't use that word. It's so crude. In terribly bad taste, really. It doesn't mean much anyhow. Somehow I feel we've never been so much alive as now. If we've absolutely got to mention this state of things, I suggest we call ourselves, wait, absentees. Have you been absent for long?
About a month.
Where did you come from?
From Rio.
I'm from Paris. Have you anyone left down there?
Yes, my wife. She's waiting at the entrance of the barracks. She comes there every day, but they won't let her in. Now she's trying to peek between the bars. She doesn't know yet I'm absent, but she suspects it. Now she's going away. She's wearing her black dress. So much the better. She won't need to change. She isn't crying, but she never did cry anyhow. Oh, it's a bright sunny day, and she's like a black shadow creeping down the empty street. Those big tragic eyes of hers, that martyred look they always had. Oh, how she got on my nerves.
A short silence, Garcin sits on the central sofa and buries his head in his hands.
Estelle?
Please, Mr. Garcin.
What is it?
You're sitting on my sofa.
Beg your pardon.
He gets up.
You look so far away. Sorry I disturbed you.
Setting my life in order. Oh, you may laugh, but you'd do better to follow my example.
No need. My life's in perfect order. It tidied itself up nicely of its own accord, so I needn't bother about it now.
Really? You imagine it's so simple as that? Oh, it's hot in here. Do you mind?
He begins taking off his coat.
How dare you? No, please don't. I loathe men in their shirt sleeves.
He puts on his coat again.
All right. Of course, I used to spend my nights in the newspaper office, and it was a regular black hole. We never kept our coats on. Stifling hot it could be. Stifling, that it is. It's night now.
That's so. Olga's undressing. It must be after midnight. How quickly time passes on Earth.
Yes, after midnight. They've sealed up my room. It's dark, pitch dark, and empty.
All hung their coats on the backs of their chairs and rolled up their shirt sleeves above the elbow. The air stinks of men and cigar smoke. I used to like living among men in their shirt sleeves.
Well, in that case, our tastes differ. That's all it proves. What about you? Do you like men in their shirt sleeves?
Oh, I don't care much for men anyway.
Really? I can't imagine why they put us three together. It doesn't make sense.
What's that you said?
I'm looking at you two and thinking that we're going to live together. Well, it's so absurd. I expected to meet old friends or relatives.
Yes, a charming old friend with a hole in the middle of his face.
Yes, him too. He danced the tango so divinely, like a professional. But why? Why should we, of all people, be put together?
Pure fluke, I should say. They lodge folks as they can in order of their coming. Why are you laughing?
Because you amuse me with your flukes, as if they left anything to chance. But I suppose you've got to reassure yourself somehow.
I wonder, now, don't you think we may have met each other at some point in our lives?
Never. I shouldn't have forgotten you.
Or perhaps we have friends in common. I wonder if you know the Dubois Seymours.
Not likely.
But everyone went to their parties.
What's their job?
Oh, they don't do anything. They have a lovely house in the country, and they host people visit them.
I didn't. I was a post office clerk.
Ah, yes, of course. In that case, and you, Mr. Garcin?
We've never met. I've always lived in Rio.
Then you must be right. It's mere chance that has brought us together.
Mere chance? Then it's by chance this room is furnished as we see it. It's an accident that the sofa on the right is a livid green and that one on the left's wine red. Mere chance. Well, just try to shift the sofas and you'll see the difference quick enough. And that statue on the mantelpiece, do you think it's there by accident? And what about the heat there? How about that? I tell you, they've thought it all out, down to the last detail. Nothing was left to chance. This room was all set for us.
But really, everything here is so hideous, all in angles. So uncomfortable. I always loathed angles.
And you think I lived in a Second Empire drawing room?
So it was all fixed up beforehand.
Yes. And they've put us here together deliberately.
Then it's not mere chance that you precisely are sitting opposite me. But what can be the idea behind it?
Ask me another. I only know they're waiting.
Ugh, I never could bear the idea of anyone's expecting something from me. It always made me want to do just the opposite.
Well, do it. Do it if you can. You don't even know what they expect.
Well, it's outrageous. So something's coming to me from you too. Something nasty, I suppose. There are some faces that tell me everything at once. Yours don't convey anything.
Turning abruptly towards Inez.
Look here. Why are we together? You've given us quite enough hints. You may as well come out with it.
But I know nothing, absolutely nothing about it. I'm as much in the dark as you are.
Got to know.
If only each of us had the guts to tell.
What?
Estelle,
Yes?
what have you done? I mean, why have they sent you here?
Well, that's just it. I haven't the notion, not the foggiest. In fact, I'm wondering if there hasn't been some ghastly mistake. Don't smile. Just think of the number of people who become absent every day. There must be thousands and thousands. And probably they're sorted out by underscrapers. Well, you know what I mean. Stupid employees who don't know how to do their job. Do stop smiling. Why don't you speak? If they made a mistake in my case, they may have done the same about you. And you too. Anyhow, isn't it better to think we've been here by mistake?
Is that all you have to tell us?
What else should I tell? I have nothing to hide. I lost my parents when I was a kid, and I had my young brother to bring up. We were terribly poor. And when an old friend of my people asked me to marry him, I said yes. He was very well off and quite nice. My brother was a very delicate child and needed all sorts of attention. So really, that was the right thing for me to do. Don't you agree? Oh, my husband was old enough to be my father. But for 6 years, we had a happy married life. Then 2 years ago, I met the man I was fated to love. I knew at the moment we set eyes on each other. He asked me to run away with him, and I refused. Then I got pneumonia, and it finished me. That's the whole story, no doubt, by certain standards. I did wrong to sacrifice my youth to a man nearly 3 times my age. Do you think that could be called a sin?
What? Now, tell me, do you think it's a crime to stand by one's principles?
Of course not. Surely no one could blame a man for that.
Wait a bit. I ran a pacifist newspaper. Then war broke out. What was I to do? Everyone was watching me, wondering, Will he dare? Well, I dared. I folded my arms and they shot me. Had I done anything wrong?
Wrong. On the contrary, you were.
A hero. And how about your wife, Mr. Garcin?
I rescued her from the gutter.
You see? You see.
Yes, I see. Look here. What's the point of play acting, trying to throw dust into each other's eyes? We're all tarred with the same brush.
How dare you?
Yes, we are criminals, murderers, all three of us. We're in hell, my pets. They never make mistakes, and people aren't damned for nothing.
Stop, for heaven's sake.
In hell. Damned souls, that's us, all three.
Keep quiet. I forbid you to use such disgusting words.
A damned soul, that's you, my little plaster saint, and ditto our friend here, the noble pacifist. We've had our hour of pleasure, haven't we? There have been people who burned their lives out for our sakes, and we chuckled over it. So now we have to pay the reckoning.
He raises his fist.
Will you keep your damn mouth shut?
Well, well. I understand now. I know why they put us three together.
Advise you to think twice before you say anything more.
Wait, you'll see how simple it is. Childishly simple. Obviously, there aren't any physical torments. You agree, don't you? And yet we're in hell. And no one else will come here. We'll stay in this room together, the three of us, forever and ever. In short, there's someone absent here, the official torturer.
Notice that.
It's obviously what they're after, an economy of manpower, or devil power if you prefer. The same idea as in the cafeteria, where customers serve themselves.
Whatever are you talking about?
I mean that each of us will act as torturer of the two others.
I shall never be your torturer. I wish neither of you any harm. I have no concern with you, none at all. So the solution's easy enough. Each of us stays put in his or her own corner and takes no notice of the others. You here, I there, like soldiers at our post. Also, we mustn't speak, not a word. That won't be difficult. Each of us has plenty of material for self-communings, but I think I could stay 10,000 years with only my thoughts for company.
Have I have to keep silent as well?
Yes. And that way we'll work out our salvation. Looking into ourselves, never raising our heads. Agreed?
Agreed.
I agree.
Then, goodbye.
He goes to his sofa and buries his head in his hands. A long silence. Then Inez begins singing to herself.
What a crowd in Whitefriars Lane. They've set trestles in a row, with a scaffold and the knife and a pail of bran below. Come, good folks, to Whitefriars Lane, come to see the merry show. The headsman rose at crack of dawn, he'd a long day's work in hand, chopped heads off generals, priests and peers and admirals, all the highest in the land. What a crowd in Whitefriars Lane. See them standing in a line, ladies all dressed up so fine, but their heads have got to go, heads and hats roll down below. Come, good folks, to Whitefriars Lane, come to see the merry show.
Meanwhile, Estelle has been plying her powder puff and lipstick. She looks around for a mirror, fumbles in her bag, then turns towards Garcin.
Excuse me, do you have a glass? Any sort of glass, a pocket mirror will do. Even if you won't speak to me, you might lend me a glass.
His head still buried in his hands.
Don't worry, I've a glass in my bag. It's gone. They must have taken it from me at the entrance.
Oh, how tiresome.
Silence. Estelle shuts her eyes and sways as if about to faint. Inez runs toward her, holds her up.
What's the matter?
I feel so queer. Don't you ever get taken that way? When I can't see myself, I begin to wonder if I really, truly exist. I pat myself to make sure, but it doesn't help much.
You're lucky. I'm always conscious of myself in my mind. Painfully conscious.
Ah, yes, in your mind. But everything that goes on in one's head is so vague, isn't it? It makes one want to sleep. I've got 6 big mirrors in my bedroom. There they are. I can see them. But they don't see me. They're reflecting the carpet, the Sarte, the window. But how empty it is. A glass in which I'm absent. When I talk to people, I always made sure there was one nearby in which I could see myself. I watched myself talking. And somehow it kept me alert, seeing myself as others saw me. Oh dear, my lipstick. I'm sure I put it on all crooked. No, I can't do without a looking glass forever and ever. I simply can't.
Suppose I try to be your glass. Come and pay me a visit, dear. Here's a place for you on my sofa.
But
Oh, he doesn't count.
we're going to hurt each other. You said it yourself.
Do I look as if I wanted to hurt you?
One can never tell.
More likely you'll hurt me. Still, what does it matter? If I've got to suffer, it may as well be at your hands. Your pretty hands. Sit down. Come closer. Closer. Look into my eyes. What do you see?
Oh, I'm there. But so tiny, I can't see myself properly.
But I can. Every inch of you. Now ask me questions. I'll be as candid as any looking glass.
Estelle seems rather embarrassed and turns to Garcin as if appealing for him to help.
Please, Mr. Garcin, sure our chatter isn't boring you.
Don't worry about him. As I said, he doesn't count. We're by ourselves. Ask away.
Are my lips all right?
Show. No, they're a bit smudgy.
Ugh, I thought as much. Luckily, no one see me. I'll try again.
That's better. No. Follow the line of your lips. Wait. I'll guide your hand. There. That's quite good.
As good as when I came in?
Far better. Crueler. Your mouth looks quite diabolical that way.
Good gracious. And you say it like that. Oh, how maddening, not being able to see for myself. You're quite sure, Miss Sereno, it's all right now?
Won't you call me Inez?
Are you sure it looks all right?
You're lovely, Estelle.
But how can I rely upon your taste? Is it the same as my taste? Oh, how sickening it all is. Enough to drive one crazy.
I have your taste, my dear, because I like you so much. Look at me. No, straight. Now smile. I'm not so ugly either. Am I not nicer than your glass?
Oh, I don't know. You scare me rather. My reflection never did that. Of course, I knew it so well, like something I had tamed. I'm going to smile, and my smile will sink down into your pupils, and heaven knows what will become.
Why shouldn't you tame me?
The women gaze at each other, Estelle with a sort of fearful fascination.
Listen, I want you to call me Inez. We must be great friends.
I don't make friends with women very easily.
Not with postal clerks, you mean? Hello. What's that? That nasty red spot at the bottom of your cheek. A pimple?
A pimple? Oh, how simply foul! Where?
There. You know the way they catch larks with a mirror? I'm your lark mirror, my dear, and you can't escape me. There isn't any pimple, not a trace of one. So what about it? Suppose the mirror started telling lies, or suppose I covered my eyes, as he is doing, and refused to look at you. All that loveliness of yours would be wasted on the desert air. No, don't be afraid. I can't help looking at you. I shan't turn my eyes away. And I'll be nice to you, ever so nice. Only you must be nice to me, too.
Are you really attracted by me?
Very much indeed.
But I wish he'd notice me too.
Of course, because he's a man. You've won. But look at her, damn it. Don't pretend. You haven't missed a word of what we've said.
Quite so, not a word. I stuck my fingers in my ears, but your voice is thudded in my brain. Silly chatter. Now, will you leave me in peace, you two? I am not interested in you.
Not in me, perhaps, but how about this child? Aren't you interested in her? Oh, I saw through your game. You got on your high horse just to impress her.
I asked you to leave me in peace. There's someone talking about me in the newspaper office, and I want to listen. If it'll make you any happier, let me tell you, I've no use for the child, as you call her.
Thanks.
Oh, I didn't mean it rudely.
You cad.
They confront each other in silence for some moments.
So, that's that. You know, I begged you not to speak.
It's her fault. She started. I didn't ask anything of her, and she came and offered me her glass.
So you say. But all the time you were making up to him, trying every trick to get his attention.
Well, why shouldn't I?
Crazy, both of you. Don't you see where this is leading us? For pity's sake, keep your mouths shut. Now, let's all sit down, quite quietly. We'll look at the floor, and each must try to forget the others are here.
A longish silence. Garcin sits down. The women return hesitantly to their places. Suddenly Inez swings round on him.
To forget about the others? How utterly absurd. I feel you there in every pore. Your silence clamors in my ears. You can nail up your mouth, cut your tongue out, but you can't prevent your being there. Can you stop your thoughts? I hear them ticking away like a clock. Tick-tock, tick-tock, and I'm certain you hear mine. It's all very well skulking on your sofa, but you're everywhere, and every sound comes to me soiled because you intercepted it on its way. Why, you've even stolen my face. You know it, and I don't. And what about her, about Estelle? You've stolen her from me, too. If she and I were alone, do you suppose she'd treat me as she does? No, take your hands from your face. I won't leave you in peace. That would suit your book too well. You go on sitting there in a sort of trance like a yogi, and even if I didn't see her, I'd feel her in my bones, that she was making every sound, even the rustle of her dress, for your benefit, throwing you smiles you didn't see. Well, I won't stand for that. I prefer to choose my hell. I prefer to look you in the eyes and fight it out face to face.
Oh, well, have it your way. I suppose it was bound to come to this. They knew what they were all about. We were easy game. If they put me in a room with men, well, men can keep their mouths shut. It's no use wanting the impossible.
He goes to Estelle and lightly fondles her neck.
So, I attract you, little girl? It seems you were making eyes at me.
Don't touch me.
Why not? We might anyhow be natural. Do you know, I used to be mad about women. And some were fond of me, so we might as well stop posing. We've nothing to lose. Why trouble about politeness and decorum and the rest of it? We're between ourselves. We shall be naked as newborn babes.
Oh, let me be.
Born babes. Well, I warned you anyhow. I asked so little of you, but nothing but peace and a little silence. I'd put my fingers in my ears. Gomez was spouting away as usual, standing in the center of the room, with all the pressmen listening in their shirt sleeves. I tried to hear, but it wasn't too easy. Things on Earth move so quickly, you know. Couldn't you have held your tongues? Well, now it's over. He stopped talking, and what he thinks of me is gone back into his head. Well, we've got to see it through somehow. Naked as we were born, so much the better. I want to know whom I have to deal with.
You know already. There's nothing more to learn.
As long as each of us hasn't made a clean breast of it, why, they've damned him or her. We know nothing. Nothing counts. You, young lady, you shall begin. Why? Tell us why. If you are frank, if we bring out our specters into the open, it may serve us from disaster. Save us from disaster. So, out with it. Why?
I tell you, I haven't the notion. They wouldn't tell me why.
That's so. They wouldn't tell me either. But I have a pretty good idea. Perhaps you're shy of speaking first. Right. I'll lead off. I'm not a very estimable person.
No need to tell us that. We know that you were a deserter.
Let it be. It's only a side issue. I'm here because I treated my wife abominably. That's all. For 5 years. Naturally, she's suffering still. Well, there she is. The moment I mention her, I see her. It's Gomez who interests me, and it's she I see. Where's Gomez got to? For 5 years. There! They've given her back my things. She's sitting in the window with my coat on her knees. The coat with 12 bullet holes. The blood's like rust, a brown ring around each hole. It's quite a museum piece, that coat, scarred with history. And I used to wear it fancy. Now, can't you shed a tear, my love? Surely you'll squeeze one out at last. No? You can't manage it? Night after night, I came home blind, drunk, stinking of wine and women. She sat up for me, of course, but she never cried, never uttered a word of reproach. Only her eyes spoke. Big, tragic eyes. I don't regret anything. I must pay the price, but I shan't whine. It's snowing in the street. Won't you cry, confound you? That woman was a born martyr, you know, a victim by vocation.
Why did you hurt her like that?
Oh, it was so easy. A word was enough to make her flinch, like a sensitive plant. And never, never a reproach. I'm fond of teasing. I watched and waited, but no, not a tear, not a protest. I picked her up out of the gutter, you understand. Now she's stroking the coat. Her eyes are shut, and she's feeling it with her fingers feeling her fingers for the bullet holes. What are you after? What do you expect? I tell you, I regret nothing. The truth is, she admired me too much. Does that mean anything to you?
No, nobody admired me.
So much the better. So much the better for you. I suppose all this strikes you as very vague. Well, here's something you can get your teeth into. I brought a half-caste girl to stay in our house. My wife slept upstairs, and She must have heard everything. She's an early riser, and as I and the girl stayed in bed late, she served us coffee in the morning.
You brute!
Yes, a brute, if you like, but a well-loved brute. No, it's nothing. Only Gomez, and he's not talking about me. What were you saying? Oh, yes, a brute. Certainly, else. Why should I be here? Your turn.
Well, I was what some people down there call a damned bitch. Damned already. So it's no surprise being here.
Is that all you have to say?
No. There was that affair with Florence. A dead man's tale with 3 corpses to it. He to start with, then she and I. So there's no one left. I've nothing to worry about. It was a clean sweep. Only that room. I see it now and then. Empty, with the doors locked. No, they've just unlocked them. To let? It's to let? There's a notice on the door. That's too ridiculous.
3. 3 deaths, you said.
3.
1 man, 2 women?
Yes.
Well, did he kill himself?
He? No, he hadn't the guts for that. Still, he'd have every reason. We led him a dog's life. As a matter of fact, he was run over by a tram. A silly sort of end. I was living with them. He was my cousin.
Was Florence fair?
Fair. You know, I don't regret a thing. Still, I'm not so very keen on telling you the story.
All right. So, you got sick of him?
Quite gradually. All sorts of little things got on my nerves. For instance, he made a noise when he was drinking, a sort of gurgle. Trifles like that. He was rather pathetic, really. Vulnerable. And why are you smiling?
Oh, because I, anyhow, am not vulnerable?
Don't be too sure. I crept inside her skin. She saw the world through my eyes. When she left him, I had her on my hands. We shared a bed-sitting room at the other end of town.
And then?
Then that tram did its job. I used to remind her every day, yes, my pet, we killed him between us. I'm rather cruel, really.
So am I.
No, you're not cruel. It's something else.
What?
I'll tell you later. When I say I'm cruel, I mean I can't get on without making people suffer, like a live coal in others' hearts. When I'm alone, I flicker out. For 6 months, I flamed away in her heart till there was nothing but a cinder. One night she got up and turned on the gas while I was asleep. Then she crept back into bed. So now you know.
Well, well.
Yes? What's in your mind?
Oh, nothing. Only it's not a pretty story.
Obviously. But what matter?
As you say, what matter? Your turn. What have you done?
Well, as I told you, I haven't the notion. I rack my brain, but it's no use.
Right. Well, then we'll give you a hand. That fellow with the smashed face. Who was he?
Who do you mean?
You know quite well. The man you were so scared of seeing when you came in.
Oh, him. A friend of mine.
Why were you afraid of him?
That's my business, Mr. Garcin.
Did he shoot you? Did he shoot himself on your account?
Of course not. How absurd you are.
Why should you have been so scared? He blew his brains out, didn't he? That's how his face got smashed.
Please don't go on.
Because of you. Because of you.
He shot himself because of you.
Leave me alone. It's not fair, bullying me like that. I want to go. I want to go.
He goes to the door and shakes it.
Go if you can, personally. I ask for nothing better. Unfortunately, the door's locked.
Estelle presses the bell push, but the bell does not ring. Inez and Garcin laugh. Estelle swings round on them and back to the door.
You're hateful, both of you.
Hateful. Yes, that's the word. Now get on with it. That fellow who killed himself on your account. You were his mistress, huh?
Well, of course she was. And he wanted to have her to himself, alone. Isn't that so?
He danced the tango like a professional, but he was poor as a church mouse. That's right, isn't it?
Poor or not? Give a straight answer.
Yes, he was poor.
Had your reputation to keep up. One day he came and implored you to run away with him, and you laughed in his face.
That's it. You laughed at him, and so he killed himself.
Did you used to look at Florence in that way?
Yes.
You've got it all wrong, you two.
Estelle stiffens her shoulders, still leaning against the door, and faces them. She grows shrill and truculent.
He wanted me to have a baby. So there.
And you didn't want one.
I certainly didn't. But the baby came anyway. Worse luck. I went to Switzerland for 5 months. No one knew anything. It was a girl. Roger was with me when she was born. It pleased him to no end. Having a daughter didn't please me.
And then?
There was a balcony overlooking the lake. I brought a big stone. He could see what I was up to, and he kept on shouting, "Estelle, for God's sake, don't!" I hated him then. He saw it all. I was leaning over the balcony, and he saw the rings spreading over the water.
Yes. And then?
That's all. I came back to Paris, and he did as he wished.
You mean he blew his brains out?
It was absurd of him. My husband never suspected anything. Ugh, how I loathe you.
Nothing doing. Tears don't flow in this place.
I'm a coward. A coward. If you knew how I hated you.
Inez takes her in her arms.
Poor child. So the hearing's over, but there's no need to look like a hanging judge.
Hanging judge? I'd give a lot to be able to see myself in a glass. How hot it is.
He takes off his coat,
Sorry.
puts it back on.
Don't bother. You can stay in your shirt sleeves, as things are.
Just so.
He drops his coat on the sofa.
Mustn't be angry with me, Estelle.
I'm not angry with you.
And what about me? Are you angry with me?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Garcin, now you have us in the nude, all right. Do you understand things any better for that?
I wonder. Yes, perhaps a trifle better. And now suppose we start trying to help each other.
I don't need help.
They laid their snare damn cunningly, like a cobweb. If you make any movement, if you raise your hand to fan yourself, Estelle and I will feel a little tug. Alone, none of us can save himself or herself. We're linked together inextricably. So you can take your choice. Hello? What's happening?
They've let it. The windows are wide open. A man is sitting on my bed. My bed, if you please. They've let it. Let it. Oh, step in. Make yourself at home, you brute. There's a woman, too. She's going up to him, putting her hands on his shoulders. Oh, Damn it, why don't they turn the lights on? It's getting dark. Now he's going to kiss her. But that's my room, my room. Pitch dark now. I can't see anything, but I hear them whispering, whispering. Is he going to make love to her on my bed? What's that she said? That it's noon and the sun is shining? I must be going blind. Blacked out. I can't see or hear a thing. So I'm done with Earth, it seems. No more alibis for me. Oh, I feel so empty, desiccated, really dead at last. All of me's here in this room. What were you saying? Something about helping me, wasn't it?
Yes.
Helping me to do what?
Defeat their devilish tricks.
And what do you expect me to do in return?
Help me. It only needs a little effort and just a spark of human feeling.
Human feeling. That's beyond my range. I'm rotten to the core.
What about me? All the same, suppose we try.
It's no use. I'm all dried up. I can't give and I can't receive. How could I help you? A dead twig ready for the burning.
She falls silent, gazing at Estelle, who has buried her head in her hands.
Florence was fair, a natural blonde.
Realize that this young lady's fated to be your torturer.
Perhaps I've guessed it.
It's through her they'll get you, of course. I'm different. Aloof. I take no notice of her. Suppose you had a try.
Yes.
It's a trap. They're watching you to see if you'll fall right into it.
I know. And you're another trap. Do you think they haven't foreknown every word you say? And, of course, there's a whole nest of pitfalls that we can't see. Everything here's a booby trap. But what do I care? I'm a pitfall, too. For her, obviously. And perhaps I'll catch her.
Oh, you won't catch anything. We're chasing each other around, round and round in a vicious circle like horses on a roundabout. That's part of their plan, of course. Drop it, Inez. Open your hands and let go of everything, or else you'll bring disaster on all three of us.
Do I look like the sort of person who lets go? I know what's coming to me. I'm going to burn, and it's to last forever. Yes, I know everything. But you think I'll let go? I'll catch her. She'll see you through my eyes, as Florence saw that other man. What's the good of trying to enlist my sympathy? I assure you I know everything, and I can't feel sorry even for myself. A trap! Don't I know it? And that I'm in a trap myself, up to the neck, and there's nothing to be done about it. And if it suits their book, so much the better.
He grips her shoulders.
Well, I, anyhow, can feel sorry for you. Look at me. We're naked. Naked right through, and I can see right into your heart. There's one link between us. Do you think I want to hurt you? I don't regret anything. I'm dried up too, but for you, I can still feel pity.
She shakes her hands off of her.
Don't. I hate being pawed about. And keep your pity for yourself. Don't forget, Garcin, that there are traps for you too in this room, all nicely set for you. You'd do better to watch your own interests. But if you will leave us in peace, this child and me, I'll see I don't do you any harm.
Very well.
Please, Garcon,
What of me?
you can help me anyhow.
If you want help, apply to her.
Inez has come up and is standing behind Estelle, but without touching her. During the dialogue that follows, she speaks almost in her ear, but Estelle keeps her eyes on Garcin, who observes her without speaking, and she addresses her answers to him, as if it were he who's questioning her.
I implore you. Garcin, you gave me your promise, didn't you? Help me, quick. I don't want to be left alone. Olga's taken him to the cabaret.
Taken whom?
Peter. Oh, how they're dancing together.
Who's Peter?
Such a silly boy. He called me his glancing stream. Just fancy. He was terribly in love with me. She's persuaded him to come out with her tonight.
Do you love him?
They're sitting down now. She's puffing like a grampus. What a fool the girl is to insist on dancing. But I dare say she does it to reduce. No, of course, I don't love him. He's only 18. And I'm not a baby snatcher.
Then why bother about them? What difference can it make?
He belonged to me.
Nothing on earth belongs to you anymore.
I tell you, he was mine, all mine.
Yes, he was yours once. But now, try to make him hear. Try to touch him. Olga can touch him, talk to him as much as she likes. That's so, isn't it? She can squeeze his hands, rub herself against him.
Yes, look, she's pressing her great fat chest against him, puffing and blowing in his face. But my poor little lamb, can't you see how ridiculous she is? Why don't you laugh at her? Oh, once I'd have only had to glance at them and she'd have slunk away. Is there really nothing left of me?
Nothing whatever. Nothing of you's left on earth, not even a shadow. All you own is here. Would you like that paper knife? Or that ornament on the mantelpiece? That blue sofa's yours. And I, my dear, am yours forever.
You, mine. That's good. Well, which of you two would dare to call me his glancing stream, his crystal ball? You know too much about me. You know I'm rotten through and through. Peter, dear, think of me. Fix your thoughts on me and save me. All the time you're thinking, my glancing stream, my crystal girl. I'm only half here. I'm only half wicked, and half of me is down there with you, clean and bright and crystal clear as running water. Oh, just look at her face, all scarlet like a tomato. No, it's absurd. We've laughed at each other together, you and I, often and often. What's that tune? I've always loved it. Yes, the St. Louis Blues. All right, dance away, dance away. Garcin, I wish you could see her, you'd die of laughing. Only she'll never know I see her. Yes, I see you. Olga, with your hair all anyhow. And you do look a dope, my dear. Oh, now you're treading on his toes. It's a scream. Hurry up. Quicker, quicker. He's dragging her along, bundling her around and round. Oh, it's ghastly. He always said I was so light. He loved to dance with me.
She's dancing as she speaks.
I tell you, Olga, I see you. No, she doesn't dare. She's dancing through my gaze. What's that? What's that you said? Oh, poor dear Estelle. Oh, don't be such a humbug. You didn't even shed a tear at the funeral. And she has the nerve to talk to him about her poor dear friend Estelle. How dare you? She discussed me with Peter. Now then, keep time. She never could dance and talk at once. Oh, what's that? No, don't tell him. Please don't tell him. You can keep him. Do what you like with him, but please don't tell him about that.
She stopped dancing.
All right, you can have him now. Isn't it foul, Garcin? She's told him everything. About Roger, my trip to Switzerland, the baby. Poor Estelle wasn't exactly... No, I wasn't exactly true enough. He's looking grave, shaking his head, but he doesn't seem so very much surprised. Not what one would expect. Keep him then. I won't haggle with you over his long eyelashes, his pretty girlish face. They're yours for the asking. His glancing stream, his crystal. Well, the crystal's shattered into bits. Poor Estelle. Dance, dance, dance! On with it, but do keep time. 1, 2, 1, 2. How I'd love to go down to earth just for a moment and dance with him again.
She dances again.
The music's growing fainter. They've turned down the lights. As they do for a tango. Why aren't they playing it so softly? Louder, please. I can't hear you. It's so far away, so far away. I can't hear a sound.
She stops dancing.
All over. It's the end. The earth has left me. Don't turn from me, please. Keep me in your arms.
Behind Estelle's back, Inez signs to Garcin to move away.
Now then, Garcin.
Garcin moves back a step and glancing at Estelle points to Inez.
It's to her you should say that.
Don't turn away. You're a man, aren't you? And surely I'm not such a fright as all that. Everyone says I've lovely hair, and after all, a man killed himself on my account. You have to look at something. And there's nothing here to see except the sofas and that awful ornament and the table. I'm better to look at than that lot of stupid furniture. Listen, I've dropped out of their heart like a little sparrow fallen from the nest. So gather me up, dear. Fold me in your heart, and you'll see how nice I can be.
He frees himself from her.
I tell you, it's to that lady you should speak.
To her? But she doesn't count. She's a woman.
Oh, I don't count. Is that what you think? But my poor little fallen nestling, you've been sheltering in my heart for ages, though you didn't realize it. Don't be afraid. I'll keep looking at you forever and ever, without a flutter of my eyelids, and you'll live in my gaze like a mote in a sunbeam.
Sunbeam, indeed. Don't talk such rubbish. You've tried that trick already, and you should know it doesn't work.
Estelle, my glancing stream, my crystal.
Your crystal. Ugh, it's grotesque. Do you think you can fool me with that sort of talk? Everyone knows by now what I did to my baby. The crystal's shattered, but I don't care. I'm just a hollow dummy, all that's left of me in the outside. But it's not for you.
Come to me, Estelle. You shall be whatever you like. A glancing stream, a muddy stream, and deep down in my eyes, you'll see yourself just as you want to be.
Oh, leave me in peace. You haven't any eyes. Oh, damn it. Isn't there anything I can do to get rid of you? I have an idea.
He spits in Inez's face.
There.
Garcin, you shall pay for this.
Garcin shrugs his shoulders and goes to Estelle.
So, it's a man you need.
Not any man. You.
No humbug now. Any man would do your business. As I happen to be here, you want me, right? Never mind. I'm not your sort at all, really. I'm not a young nincompoop, and I don't dance the tango.
I'll take you as you are, and perhaps I shall change you.
Oh, I doubt it. I shan't pay you much attention. I've other things to think about.
What things?
They wouldn't interest you.
I'll sit on your sofa and wait for you to take some notice of me. I promise not to bother you at all.
That's right. Fawn on him like the silly bitch you are. Grovel and cringe. And he hasn't even good looks to commend him.
Don't listen to her. She has no eyes, no ears. She's nothing.
I'll give you what I can. It doesn't amount to so much. I shan't love you. I know you too well.
Do you want me anyhow?
Yes.
I ask no more.
Well, in that case...
He bends over her.
Estelle, Garcin, you must be going crazy. You're not alone. I'm here too.
Of course, but what does it matter?
Under my eyes? You couldn't do it.
Why not? I often undressed with my handmaid looking.
Let her alone. Don't paw her with your dirty man's hands.
He thrusts her hands away.
Take care. I'm no gentleman, and I have no compunction about striking a woman.
But you promised me. You promised. I'm only asking you to keep your word.
Oh, why should I, considering you were the first to break our agreement?
Inez turns her back on him and retreats to the far end of the room.
Very well. Have it your own way. I'm the weaker party, 1 against 2. But don't forget I'm here and watching. I shan't take my eyes off you, Garcin. When you're kissing her, you'll feel them boring into you. Yes, have it your own way. Make love and get it over. We're in hell. My turn will come.
During the following scene, she watches them without speaking.
Now then, your lips. Give me your lips.
He bends to kiss her, abruptly straightens up.
Really? Didn't I tell you not to pay any attention to her?
You've got it all wrong. It's Gomez. It's back in the press room. Well, they've shut the windows. It must be winter down there. 6 months since Well, I warned you I'd be absent-minded sometimes, didn't I? They're shivering. They've kept their coats on. Funny they should feel cold like that when I'm feeling so hot. This time, he's talking about me.
Is it going to last long? You might at least tell me what he's saying.
Nothing. Nothing worth repeating. He's a swine, that's all. Goddamn bloody swine. Let's come back to ourselves. Are you going to love me?
I wonder now.
Will you trust me?
What a quaint thing to ask, considering you'll be under my eyes all the time, and I don't think I've much to fear from Inez, so far as you're concerned.
Obviously.
He takes his hands off Estelle's shoulders.
I was thinking of another kind of trust. Talk away, you swine. I'm not there to defend myself. You must give me your trust.
Ugh, what a nuisance you are. I'm giving you my mouth, my arms, my whole body, and everything could be so simple. My trust? I haven't any to give, I'm afraid, and you're making me terribly embarrassed. You must have something pretty ghastly on your conscience to make such a fuss about my trusting you.
They shot me.
I know, because you refused to fight.
I didn't exactly refuse. I must say he talks well. He makes out a good case against me, but he never says what I should have done instead. Should I have gone to the general and said, "General, I decline to fight"? A mug's game. They'd have promptly locked me up. But I wanted to show my colors, my true colors. Do you understand? I wasn't going to be silenced. So I took the train. They caught me at the frontier.
Where were you trying to go?
To Mexico. To launch a pacifist newspaper down there. But why don't you speak?
What can I say? You acted quite rightly, as you didn't want to fight. But darling, how on earth can I guess what you want me to answer?
Can't you guess? Well, I can. He wants you to tell him that he bolted like a lion. For bolt he did, and that's what's biting him.
Bolted? Went away. We won't quarrel over words.
But you had to run away. If you'd stay, they'd have sent you to jail, wouldn't they?
Of course. Well, Estelle, Am I a coward?
Well, how can I say? Don't be so unreasonable. Darling, I can't put myself in your skin. You must decide that for yourself.
I can't decide.
Anyhow, you must remember, you must have had a reason for acting as you did.
I had,
Well,
but were they the real reasons?
you've a twisted mind, that's your trouble, plaguing yourself over such trifles.
I thought it all out, and I wanted to make a stand, but what was my real motive?
Exactly. That's the question. Was that your real motive? No doubt you argued it out with yourself. You weighed it, pros and cons. You found good reasons for what you did. But fear and hatred and all the dirty little instincts one keeps dark, they're motives too. So carry on, Mr. Garcin, and try to be honest with yourself for once.
Do you need to tell me that? Day and night I paced my cell from my window to the door, from the door to the window. I pried my heart. I sleuthed myself like a detective. By the end of it, I felt as if I'd given my whole life to introspection. But I always hearkened back to the one thing certain, that I had acted as I did. I had taken the train to the frontier, but why? Why? Finally, I thought, my death will settle it. If I face death courageously, I'll prove that I'm no coward.
And how did you face death?
Miserably. Rottenly. It was only a physical lapse that might happen to anyone. I'm not ashamed of it. Only everything's been left in suspense forever. Come here, Estelle. Look at me. I want to feel someone looking at me while they're talking about me on earth. I like green eyes.
Green eyes. Just hark to him. And you, Estelle, do you like cowards?
If you knew how little I care. Coward or hero, it's all one, provided he kisses well.
There they are, slumped in their chairs, sucking at their cigars. Bored they look, half asleep. They're thinking, Garcin's a coward, but only vaguely, dreamily. One's got to think of something that chap Garcin was a coward. That's what they decided. Those dear friends of mine. In 6 months' time, they'll be saying, cowardly as the skunk, Garcin. You're lucky, you two. No one on earth is giving you another thought that I am long and dying.
What about your wife, Garcin?
Dead.
Dead.
Yeah, she died just now, about 2 months ago.
Of grief?
What else would she die of? So, all's for the best, you see. The war's over, my wife's dead, and I've carved out my own place in history.
Gives a sob and passes his hand over his face.
My poor darling, look at me. Please look. Touch me. Touch me. There. Keep your hand there. No, don't move. Why trouble what those men are thinking? They'll die off one by one. Forget them. There's only me now.
But they won't forget me. Not they. They'll die, but others will come after them to carry on the legend. I've left my fate in their hands.
You think too much. That's your trouble.
What else is there to do now? I was a man of action once. Oh, if only I could be with them again. Just one day I'd fling their lie in their teeth. But I'm locked out. They're passing judgment on my life without troubling about me. And they're right, because I'm dead. Dead and done. Yeah, a black number.
Garcon.
Still there. Now listen. I want you to do me a service. Now, don't shrink away. I know it must seem strange to you having someone asking you for help. You're not used to that. But if you'll make the effort, if you'll only will it hard enough, I dare say we can really love each other. Look at it this way. 1,000 of them are claiming I'm a coward. What do numbers mean? If there's someone, just one person, to say quite positively, I did not run away, that I'm not the sort who runs away, that I'm brave and decent, and the rest of it, well, that one person's faith can save me. Will you have faith in me? Then I shall love you and cherish you forever. Estelle, will you?
Dear silly man, do you think I could love a coward?
What you just said.
I was only teasing you. I like men, my dear, who are real men with tough skin and strong hands. You haven't a coward's chin or a coward's mouth or a coward's voice or a coward's hair. And it's for your mouth, your hair, your voice. I love you.
Really mean it?
Shall I swear it?
Then I snap my fingers at all of them, those below and those in here. Estelle, we shall climb out of hell. What's that?
But she doesn't mean a word of what she says. How can you be such a simpleton? Estelle, am I a coward? As if she cared the damn way, one either way.
Inez, how dare you? Don't listen to her. If you want me to have faith in you, you must begin by trusting me.
That's right, that's right. Trust away. She wants a man. That far you can trust her. She wants a man's around her waist, a man's smell, a man's eyes glowing with desire. And that's all she wants. She'd assure you you're God Almighty if she thought it would give you pleasure.
Is this true?
What do you expect me to say?
Is it true?
What do you expect me to say? Don't you realize how maddening it is to have to answer questions one can't make head or tail of?
She stamps her foot.
You do make things difficult. Anyhow, I'd love you just the same, even if you were a coward. Isn't that enough?
Disgust me. Both of you.
He goes towards the door.
What are you up to?
I'm going.
You won't get far. The door is locked.
I'll make them open it.
He presses the bell push. The bell does not ring.
Please, please.
Oh, don't worry, my pet. The bell doesn't work.
I tell you, they shall open.
He drums on the door.
I can't endure it any longer. I'm through with you both.
Estelle
Go
runs to
away.
him, pushes her away.
Go away, you're even fouler than she. I won't let myself get bogged in your eyes. You're soft and slimy.
Bangs on the door.
Like an octopus, like a quagmire.
I beg you, not to leave me. I'll promise not to speak again. I won't trouble you in any way, but don't go. I dare not be left alone with Inez. Now she's shown her claws.
Look after yourself. I've never asked you to come here.
Oh, how mean you are. Yes, it's quite true you're a coward.
Well, my little sparrow fallen from the nest. I hope you're satisfied now. You spat in my face, playing up to him, of course, and we had a tiff on his account. But he's going, and good riddance it will be. We two women will have the place to ourselves.
You won't gain anything. If that door opens, I'm going too.
Where?
I don't care where, as far away from you as I can.
Open the door! Open, blast you! I'll endure anything. Your red-hot tongs and molten lead, your racks and prongs and garrots, all fiendish gadgets, everything that burns and flays and tears. I'll put up with any tortures you impose, anything. Anything would be better than this agony of mine, this creeping pain that gnaws and fumbles and caresses one and never hurts quite enough.
He grips the doorknob, rattles it.
Now will you open?
The door flies open with a jerk, and he just avoids falling.
Ah!
Well, Garcin, you're free to go.
Now I wonder why the door opened.
What are you waiting for? Hurry up and go.
I shall not go.
And you, Estelle.
Estelle does not move.
So what? Which shall it be? Which of the three of us will leave? The barrier's down. Why are we waiting? But what a situation. It's a scream. We're inseparables.
Estelle springs at her from behind.
Inseparables. Garcon, come and lend me a hand quickly. Push her out and slam the door. That'll teach her a lesson.
Estelle, I beg you, let me stay. I won't go. I won't go. Not into the passage.
Oh, let go of her.
You're crazy. She hates you.
It's because of her I'm staying here.
Estelle releases Inez and stares dumbfoundedly at Garcin.
Because of me? All right, shut the door. It's 10 times hotter here since it opened. Because of me, you said?
Yes, you. You anyhow know what it means to be a coward.
Yes, I know.
And you know what wickedness is, and shame and fear. There are days when you peered into yourself, into the secret places of your heart, and what you saw there made you faint with horror. And then, next day, you didn't know what to make of it. You couldn't interpret the horror that you had glimpsed the day before. Yes, you know what evil costs. And when you say I'm a coward, you know from experience what that means. Isn't that so?
Yes.
So it's you whom I have to convince. You are my kind. Did you suppose I meant to go? No, I couldn't leave you here, gloating over my defeat with all the thoughts about me running in your head.
Do you really wish to convince me?
That's the one and only thing I wish for now. I can't hear them any longer, you know? Probably that means they're through with me. For good and all. The curtain's down. There's nothing left on earth. Not even the name of a coward. So, Inez, we're alone. Only you two remain to give a thought to me. She doesn't count. It's you who matters. You who hate me. You'll have faith in me and I'd be saved.
It won't be easy. Have a look at me. I'm a hard-headed woman.
Give you all the time that's needed.
Yes, we've lots of time in hand. All time.
He puts his hands on her shoulders.
Listen, each man has an aim in life, a leading motive. Isn't that so? It's so, isn't it? Well, I didn't give a damn for wealth or love. I aimed at being a real man, a tough, as they say. I staked everything on the same horse. Can one possibly be a coward when one's deliberately courted danger at every turn? And can one judge a life by a single action?
Why not? For 30 years you dreamt you were a hero and condoned 1,000 petty lapses, because a hero, of course, can do no wrong. An easy method, obviously. Then a day came when you were up against it, the red light of real danger, and you took the train to Mexico.
Dreamt, you say? It was no dream. When I chose the hardest path, I made my choice deliberately. A man is what he wills himself to be.
Prove it. Prove it was no dream. It's what one does and nothing else that shows the stuff one's made of.
Died too soon. I wasn't allowed time to do my deeds.
One always dies too soon or too late. And yet one's whole life is complete at that moment, with a line drawn neatly under it, ready for the summing up. You are your life and nothing else.
This woman you are, with an answer for everything.
Now then, don't lose heart. It shouldn't be so hard convincing me. Pull yourself together, man. Rake up some arguments. Ah, wasn't I right when I said you were vulnerable? Now you're going to pay the price, and what a price. You're a coward, Garcin, because I wish it. I wish it, do you hear? I wish it. And just look at me. See how weak I am. A mere breath on the air, a gaze observing you, a formless thought that thinks of you. They're open now, those big hands, those coarse man's hands. But what do you hope to do? You can't throttle thoughts with hands, so you've no choice. You must convince me, and you're at my mercy.
Garcon,
What?
revenge yourself. Kiss me, darling, and then that'll make her squeal.
That's true, Inez. I'm at your mercy, but you're at mine as well.
He bends over Estelle. Inez gives a little cry.
Oh, you coward! You weakling, running to women to console you.
That's right, Inez. Squeal away.
What a lovely pair you make. If you could see his big paw splayed out on your back, rucking up your skin and creasing the silk. Be careful, though. He's perspiring. His hand will leave a blue stain on your dress.
Squeal away, Inez. Squeal away. Hug me tight, darling. Tighter still. That'll finish her off. And a good thing, too.
Yes, Garcin, she's right. Carry on with it. Press her to you until you feel your bodies melting into each other, a lump of warm, throbbing flesh. Love's a grand solace, isn't it, my friend? Deep and dark as sleep. But I'll see you don't sleep.
Don't listen to her. Press your lips to my mouth. Oh, I'm yours, yours, yours.
Well, what are you waiting for? Do as you're told. What a lovely scene. Coward Garcin holding baby killer Estelle in his manly arms. Make your stakes, everyone. Will coward Garcin kiss the lady, or won't he dare? What's the betting? I'm watching you. Everybody's watching you. I'm a crowd all by myself. Do you hear the crowd? Do you hear them muttering, Garcin? Mumbling and muttering. Coward, 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 coward. That's what they're saying. It's no use trying to escape. I'll never let you go. What do you hope to get from her silly lips? Forgetfulness? But I shan't forget you, not I. It's I you must convince. So come to me. I'm waiting. Come along now. Look how obedient he is, like a well-trained dog who comes when his mistress calls. You can't hold him, and you never will.
Ever come?
Never.
Will you always see me?
Always.
He moves away from Estelle and takes some steps across the room. He goes to the bronze ornament.
Bronze. Yes. Now's the moment. I'm looking at this thing on the mantelpiece, and I understand that I'm in hell. I tell you, everything's been thought out beforehand. They knew I'd stand at this fireplace stroking this thing of bronze with all their eyes intent on me, devouring me.
He swings round abruptly.
What? Only you two? I thought there would be more, many more. So, this is hell. I'd never believed it. You remember we were all told about the torture chambers and the fire and the brimstone and the burning marl? Old wives' tales. There's no need for red-hot pokers. Hell is other people.
My darling, please.
No. Let me be. She is between us, and I cannot love you when she's watching.
Right. In that case, I'll stop her watching.
She picks up the paper knife from the table, rushes at Inez, and stabs her several times.
But you crazy creature, what do you think you're doing? You know quite well I'm dead.
Dead?
She drops the knife. Inez picks up the knife and jabs herself with it.
Dead, dead, dead. Knives, poison, ropes, all useless. It's happened already, do you understand? Once and for all. So here we are, forever.
Forever? My God, how funny. Forever.
Forever and ever and ever.
They slump onto their respective sofas, a long silence. Their laughter dies away and they gaze at each other.
Well, well. Let's get on with it.
Curtain. End of play.